Hey YouTube, what's going on? It's Richard. As part of this documentation of the process where we don't know what the outcome is, but it's just real time, it's raw, it's sort of behind the scenes, I just had a phone call with somebody that is a specialist in sort of developing these eco-friendly, very light ecological tourism, adventure, travel, experience stuff. So just to explain, this is the Idaho project. You guys have seen the overview video, and this is just detailing sort of what is actually happening in real time, the conversations that I'm having. We're not going to document all of them, but Charles happened to be here. He thought this was interesting. It was pretty lengthy, and it's planning the site visit, which is a critical part of this. Do I buy it? Do I not buy it? Do I buy A or do I buy B? Well, A is good because it supports this, this, and that. B might be better because it supports this, this, or that. I'm seeking expert advice because while I have my own opinions, I'm also smart enough to realize I've never really done this before. I want to get it right. I want to make it world class. And so I'm reaching out to experts, and I've had 3, 4, 5 phone calls with them, multiple emails. Now we're getting ready to spend some real money and fly multiple people out there. So pay attention and let me know what you think.
Very well, thanks. Did you enjoy the holiday?
I did indeed. I was in upstate Connecticut and Massachusetts dropping off my kids at different boarding schools, and then I got back yesterday, and now I'm in Manhattan, and I'm here with Charles, who does all of my videos for different, I don't know, a YouTube channel and stuff like that. And we're just talking about Idaho and what the opportunity set looks like, and I'm just trying to figure out with his calendar and your calendar and my calendar, how this all works and if it makes sense to fly the 2 of you out and possibly the 3rd guy. I forget his name.
Oh, Graham.
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 Okay, sorry. And so I'm just I'm in that same position where I haven't even bid on the property. So I certainly don't have a contract or an offer accepted. It could sell away from us tomorrow, although I think it's very unlikely. But anything could happen. And then at the same time, I don't really want to postpone it too much because of the pending winter and snow, and you won't really be able to see very much.
Right.
So are those the only dates that your team has available?
I can check back again. We had a trip to India planned, but that's been pushed back a couple of weeks. So our first week of October may look a little bit different now. So I can check back. With Graham, that it depends on if you want to push through faster on the design side, then it might be worth trying to have him. Otherwise, we can also still explore just Luke and me coming through. So I think it really depends on what your objectives are out of the first visit, how much you want to. Then we'll figure out if we need to tackle Graham's calendar or not.
Yeah, well, I guess having not worked with you guys before, I've read the emails that you sent that talks about sort of what phase 1 would look like and what it costs and so on. But I guess what I'm having difficulty understanding is how much more it costs and what I really would get if Graham comes on this trip or he comes in the spring.
I think it would come down to when would you want the first products up and running. So I think that we would have to plan backwards from there. So if you want something in the summer, then yes, it would be good to have Graham on site, before winter, like you mentioned. And then that way the design team can start working and they can be working through the winter, when nothing can happen on site anyways. And then we do the installation as soon as the conditions are right on the ground. And, I think we talked about this before, the fabrication, prefabrication, and manufacturing of the units can happen during the winter time and the early spring, and then we transport it there to site and do the installation once the conditions are right.
Right.
So it's all possible, and we can fine tune how many units and what those units would look like, what seasonality or conditions you want it to be able to handle, and then we would figure out, how many other units and what those units would look like for the year-round product. But
Right.
at least the design team can get going on those earlier units that you want up and running sooner.
Yeah, I think what I'm trying to reconcile is I can't really do anything, or said differently, I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to do anything until I utilize the 1031 proceeds from a sale on a property that I've just listed for sale, and just days ago, so we don't have any feedback or sense of interest. Everyone's been away. We intentionally listed it at the end of summer because we think there's probably an influx of listings that come online in September 1st or right after Labor Day, like today. And we were hoping to, beat that a little bit. And then also if people were sitting on the beach in Nantucket or wherever for Labor Day,
Right.
looking at real estate online or whatever, that they might see ours and not others. But, it's to be determined. I mean, we've had a handful of appointments scheduled, but it's a pretty big property and decent price tag. So it's going to take the right buyer. I'm confident it'll sell, and I'm confident it'll sell relatively quickly, but I don't know if that's 1 week, 1 month, 1 year.
Right.
And so, let's put it this way. In my planning scenario, I envision being in contract and closing probably in early 2019. And then I would be doing the 1031 in, say, January, February, that sort of time frame. And you and I, if I decide to go forward with this, would be designing and using that time intelligently. And then by the time I actually take ownership of the property, maybe it's March or April, and the snow doesn't really thaw out there until May or June anyway. But in an ideal world, if I'm going to have this much money tied up in this project, I'd like it to start to show signs of life and some revenue and some feedback and some learning this summer, as opposed to carrying it for a full, call it 12 months. Right? Because that's sort of like the next opportunity would be a full 12 months forward.
Okay, so keeping that in mind, when is the earliest that you would feel comfortable, having a design team starting to work through the initial concept?
Well, I think that there's two things for me. First, I think there's real value in having your expertise saying, hey, this is a world-class property. We think people will travel and enjoy it, and there's plenty of experiences to do. Or, hey, Richard, this seems like a really wonderful opportunity for you and your family, and you guys might really enjoy it. Maybe your friends come a lot. But to be perfectly honest, there's better experiences out there, or experiences that people may opt for that are more authentic or more unbelievable, or, I don't really know. I mean, I've obviously seen a lot of your Instagram and posts and stuff, and obviously there's no waterfalls, and this isn't Costa Rica or India or Botswana, but it is, like national park or national forest, near Yellowstone, near Jackson, with horseback riding and mountain biking and all sorts of fly fishing. I mean, it's amazing. But at the same time, if you guys came and were like, we share your enthusiasm and we'd like to do it, but we're not sure that you're going to get more than, I don't know, whatever.
Your investment back.
Yeah, you're not going to get more than $99 a night for this. So there's value in that, because then I would look at this opportunity and say, do I want to proceed or do I not want to proceed? But then to the extent that I think you guys will like it, kind of like I do, then it's important, I think, to use the winter months instead of it just being dead to our advantage. And maybe we launch, light, soft launch in summer of 2019 with, I don't know, pick a number, 2 tents or 4 tents or whatever, with plans for phase 2 with the learnings, 12 months forward. But I don't know that we want to delay everything and use 16 months to figure it all out, and then the first revenue opportunity and the first lesson is summer of 2020.
Right. Well, I think approach we had can still work if the timing works for you. Late September, early October. The plan of Luca and me going there, assessing the property, and seeing its value in terms of a market experiential hospitality specifically. And then from that visit, you would have the comfort to put in, to try to acquire the property or not. And then if you do, then we would have already visited the site and we would have enough to complete that preliminary concept mood document that I had described to you. And then we can really aggressively try to get Graham out there as quickly as possible before the snows start to come in, and time it that way. But at least his visit can be after our initial assessment.
Okay, and you don't think it's worth spending the money to have him, if his calendar permits, come at the same time?
He is going to be on the continent in, I think, the last week of September, or the first week of October. I can try to check. If he's already on the continent, then the travel expenses for you would be a lot less. So I can try to figure out exactly what his calendar looks like and what days he has available. And if he can just pick up a trip to Idaho from Central America, then I think that, there'd be a lot more value that way for you.
Yeah, I'm not sure it makes a lot of sense for him to fly from Central America necessarily, but to your point, if he's, where is he, in Costa Rica?
No, he is going to be looking at a site by Ensenada, Mexico.
Okay.
And I think he's going to be flying in and out of San Diego Airport.
Oh.
So, that trip, is a lot more feasible financially as compared to flying him out from Johannesburg.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't we look at that? And then I think that the dates, Charles, what were your dates that you couldn't be there until Wednesday the 20?
Well, I'd have to travel that day.
Okay, what day do you travel?
The 26th.
He would travel Wednesday the 26th.
We're not filming.
So you and I could do something, but he wouldn't be able to film any of the discovery or anything like that, which we would like to capture. And then the Thursday we would be available. I don't remember your proposal, but was it you guys would be on site the 26th and the 27th, or the 27th and the 28th?
I think it was the 27th and 28th. I think we were thinking of flying, traveling on the 26th so that we could get an early start on the 27th.
Okay, so that works really well for Charles, and I'll make that work. It's my twins' birthday, but they'll understand. And then Charles would have to leave the 28th, but so too would you. So I guess the follow-up from this call is Charles and I are just sort of riffing through this and talking about the opportunity and his calendar. We wanted to check in with you. To your point, if Graham is available and he's on the continent, or if he's in San Diego, that's pretty straightforward and much more affordable. Why don't you see if he can join you on the 26th and flying there and then flying home on the 28th? And if that's the case, then we might just opportunistically opt for that just because he's there and it's much less time and money than coming back from South Africa.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let me check with his calendar. I know some things moved around for him 2 days ago, so
okay.
I'll double check.
Great. I appreciate it, and we'll wait to hear back from you.
Sure. Okay.
All right, Jamie.
So as of right now, you still want to check out both properties, right? Both of them are on the table, but you're kind of leaning a little bit more towards that larger one.
I think so. I think it's got more to offer and more, it also has 2 cabins and 3 wells and the road. And so while it costs more, some of those costs I'd have to put into the other one anyway.
Right.
And the fact that it has those 2 cabins, they're completely rustic. I don't know that that's going to be an experience for people, but a caretaker could live there. We could convert one into the commercial kitchen. We could convert one into the laundry room for season 1, or I don't want to discount how relevant it is to have running water and electric and 2 year-round cabins.
Right, definitely. That is a very good point. Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm going to have to build some of that,
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
and that's not free, and also does take some time. So
Yeah,
but
and however you wanted to position the project, we could still do so. Like if you still wanted to position it as really light footprint, eco-friendly, we can still do all of that with, with the second property. Especially if those other things become back of house, then there's still a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and I think one thing I wanted to touch on when you mentioned hospitality, I don't know, we've never really worked together. I know you work for some unbelievable organizations where hospitality, means tons of staff and tons of training, and they have the infrastructure and they have the people and so on. And I just don't really have that. But I kind of view hospitality in this sort of environment perhaps a little bit differently, and I just want to see how you feel about it. But to me, like the experience that I envision is, I don't know what the right word is. I haven't formulated it, but basically I think the hospitality comes in the truest sense of the word, which is in anticipating their needs before they are needs and solving for the problems. And it's not like ringing a bell for a butler,
Right. It's hosting as opposed to serving.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I completely understand that. Yeah.
So I don't foresee 24/7 staff waiting to answer a bell because somebody needs another blanket or something. I'd like to have the blanket there in advance, and it's more like experience and real and super comfortable and super fancy in a rustic.
Unpretentious.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I completely understand. We work with a number of brands, and a lot of them also have different kind of service levels and different service offerings even within their brands.
Cool.
So I mean, it's really a marriage of the minds of the owner and the operator. But I know a lot of these operators are really looking for projects where they can, set up more of these offerings.
Yeah, and so my point in that regard would be, let's say we have half a dozen different experiences for people to select from: fly fishing, mountain biking, I don't know, ATV, I don't know, whatever, hiking. I think the thing that we would want to do is photograph, video, detail, highlight, market, show what people can do at the time of booking, and then follow through with sort of like that hospitality, not pushing them to book things, but giving them the offerings, so that when they get there, they're not expecting to walk to the concierge and ask them what's going on and ask them to book the whitewater rafting, for the next day. It's sort of like we've done education, and people are excited to come, and people have selected, they really want to do this and this and this, and we've curated their 4-day stay or 6-day stay in advance, and we're available to like answer questions, but not necessarily in the same way the concierge at the traditional Four Seasons might.
So do you mean like their activities would be pre-scheduled before arrival, something like that?
I think to the extent that they were comfortable doing it, yeah. I'd love for them to say, these are the things that we, wow, this really resonates. I want to make sure I do fly fishing. And my son really is interested in kayaking or whatever. And so we like create a custom package, if you will, around their interests, but in advance. Like we do the work online and with video and in advance, as opposed to walking up to like the front desk and saying, hey, what do you guys do around here?
No, I get you. So curated rather than just walking up to a concierge and booking something for that day. So we could even do something where after booking, pre-arrival, there's some kind of process, whether it's, an interactive email or some kind of link, but something where they can see all the offerings of programming, or someone calls them and has a phone call with them. Maybe it's going to be their future host or guide or whatever we might call that role. They might call them or engage them through some medium and say, these are some of the things that we do, and some of the experiences that we have available in the area. There's this and this. What might you guys be interested in? Is there a particular occasion you're coming for? Are there particular meals or experiences you want to have that we can help, architect for you? And then, essentially, if the guest is comfortable, they can hand over their whole itinerary to them. we booked 4 nights with you. We kind of want to experience this, and this. Surprise us. Plan it all out for us.
Right, and I think
so we
that
can
that's
definitely do something like that.
yeah, I think that's kind of cool and is really, really hospitable and forward thinking, and yet gives them the privacy to be there, in that space alone, without like that security blanket or that presence or nuisance, or right, like just sort of go check it out.
Yeah, and we can work really closely with the operator to make sure that all translates through the operations, and obviously plan on the back end and the design of the physical lodge and resort itself.
So the operator that you keep referencing, are these groups like that have expressed interest, or are these like we're going to go hire 10 post-college graduates that have been waiting tables and we're going to train them in this? I mean, what are you envisioning?
It could go either way. I think the easiest thing to do would be to go see the sites, see which one you're interested in acquiring, and then figure out what kind of offering that's best positioned to deliver. So whether it's 4-star, 4-star plus, or 5-star, and then what you envision, marrying what you envision to the different brands we know of and what they're looking to offer on the market, and they're looking for owners who share vision with them. Or if there's a vision that you particularly want to execute, you can also do it in-house. Like, you can hire an operating team that already exists, and you just have an independent brand on it. You name the property and you brand it independently. And there are operators out there that are already existing teams that have functioned and worked together before, under whatever independent brand of the hotel is. So there's so many options that I'm not too worried about that at that point. At this point, it's more so determining what the property can carry and what kind of product you can market successfully. Successfully enough that you get your investment back, and then from there we figure out what operator to plug in, whether it's an independent or a brand. And the world of brands is also pretty extensive. There are a lot of brands out there of different visions and ways of doing business and different service levels.
Okay, cool. Well, we can talk about that a little bit more. Why don't we do the following? Let's check with Graham's calendar. Maybe we'll get lucky, and that will help us, frame sort of what might happen. Charles and I, after this phone call, will continue our conversation and just we'll wait to hear from you, and then we'll circle up later today or tomorrow or whenever you have more details.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right.
You too.
Be well.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
So what'd you think? Well, I, for one, hope you liked it. I hope you find it interesting. I hope you find it aspirational and inspirational and helps you try and think about things differently. Like as you walk around and you see empty lots or you see barns or something, like what can you do with that? Let me know what you're working on. And we're just documenting my journey and what I'm thinking in real time and the real estate opportunities that I see. And, we're going to do it whether it works, it fails, I buy it, I don't buy it. Like, it's legit, it's real time, it's transparent. Let's see what happens. I, for one, am super excited, and I think it's going to work out great, and I'm excited to learn throughout the process. I hope you follow me along. If so, like the video and subscribe to the channel because we're doing it.